This is going to be a breakdown of Cheese vs. Hufflepuffus Game 3 of the May 2021 Classic Tetris Monthly Masters event. One of the best, if not the best, comebacks in competitive NES Tetris history. So here's some brief context on the players and the situation. Cheese was already one of the best players in the scene, a top 8 finisher in the 2020 World Championships, but he made international news last month for being the first player to develop and get good at a rolling playstyle for Tetris on NES controllers, where he rolls his fingers on the bottom of the controller into his finger on the top instead of pressing the buttons directly. He's been able to use this playstyle to shatter basically every record associated with level 29 in NES Tetris, a level which is virtually impossible for DAS players and only barely possible for hypertappers. And so there was a lot of anticipation for his first appearance in the Classic Tetris Monthly after the story went viral, to see how he would do in a tournament after switching to playing entirely with rolling. But his opponent, Hufflepuffus, was no slouch. In the Tetris World Championships last year, he defeated two-time world champion Joseph Saley in the top 8, making it all the way to the semifinals before being knocked out by 2020's eventual champion Dog. So in game 1, on level 18, Huff can't get a T-piece over to the left and does not get a long bar in time before he has to plug the well, and the single doesn't get the stack low enough to open up access to the left side. So early top out, Cheese already has the lead, game 1 to Cheese. Game 2, this one goes all the way to the end. Huff gets one final Tetris into level 29, he's already 10,000 points behind, even with that extra double, and Cheese still has runway to get one more Tetris. In fact, he's not even going for the Tetris, he's going for the triple, which for most people this would be a bad move, because the final Tetris going into level 29 is worth 36,000 points. And in most games, hypertappers can't count on surpassing that past level 29, because singles and doubles, they're only worth a couple thousand points at this stage. Of course, sometimes you see deep runs where hypertappers will get 40 lines or 1 or 2 Tetrises past level 29, but 40 lines is not that common. And going for Tetrises is really risky. Most of the time you just see a dozen lines or so at most, whereas if you go for a final Tetris on level 28, it's half the speed, so it's much more likely that you'll actually get it. But Cheese is in a position where he's comfortable enough on level 29 that it is worth it to try and transition and guarantee that he has a low board here and just go ham on 29. And it ends up paying off, so both Cheese and Huff are facing off on the kill screen. Both are getting a little bit of traffic, their boards are starting to get some holes. Unfortunately, Huff, he's not going to be able to get that T-piece over. That's pretty much going to end the game for him, because to get a long bar over that would be 7 high right. This is at minimum a 15 hertz tap on level 29 with perfect timing. Most of the time, it'll require more. This little bot shows the frames you would have to tap on to get this move. Each one of those frames is 1/60th of a second. So trying a perfect first tap on the first possible frame is so risky, because the chances are high you'll tap it 1 or 2 frames too early. So 7 high right, this is very difficult for most hypertappers. Maybe only the top handful could do it consistently. His only real chance is to burn it down with a double. And unfortunately, by the time that happens, he's already stacked another piece on top, so it's still 7 high right. Huff's down 20,000, he's gonna top out, and that's game 2 for Cheese. But now look at Cheese, he's got a slightly dirty board, a 1-row hole at the bottom, but 6 perfect lines above that, beyond Tetris ready. That's the same 7 high right that killed Huff, and Cheese gets a long bar over for a Tetris like it's nothing. So it wouldn't have even been enough if Huff was able to miraculously line out for another couple levels. And now Cheese is just gonna have fun and flex a little bit. He's managed to burn down midway through level 30, he's gonna go for his center well Tetris, sets up a curious skim with the L. There's actually some good reasons to go for this. The L's are the easiest pieces to get all the way to the left, so builds up some material on his first column. He could drop an L, J, or T in the center to clear it off. Unfortunately, he gets a long bar, and it's too high up to try and put it vertically off to the side, so he just plops it in the center. So this is still okay, he could cleanly solve it with a T, L, or S now, but he gets a square. Now that does potentially skim, but it causes a hole, so he's gonna try to play clean and gets another ill-timed long bar. So the clean solution would be to put the long bar here and the S coming next here, but halfway up the board on level 30, he has like a quarter of a second to make these adjustments at most. It's just not enough time. He's gonna place the long bar in the center and then top out, because he just doesn't have any other options. But still, drops an extra 49,000 past 29 to really put the game out of reach. But now we get to game 3. This is the big one. So let's pull up the stats. All right, so stellar scores by both players, both on max out pace. Cheese has the raw score lead by about a Tetris and a half, but Huff has a small pace lead, which is basically who has the potential to score more before level 29, after which the ability to score is very limited for almost all players. But as we saw in the previous game, this doesn't apply as much to Cheese, so Huff is gonna need as much of a pace lead as he can get. So Cheese plays S flat, which is about the most efficient move he could do here while trying to keep his board stable. If he placed it over here, it would have limited what he could have used to fill the LJ dependency. So Cheese plays this out, gets the skim, but then gets in a tricky situation where he has no great options on his board for an S. He doesn't want to make a hole or set up a very high long bar dependency on the left, so he goes S-vert on the right. And then unfortunately he has to do it again, waiting out pieces, trying to play clean, get the skims, and then opts to do it a third time. This is the safer move than throwing it in the center and risking a center spire that could snag something. It's just that every piece he stacks on the right over the well is more lines he can't use for Tetrises, getting further behind pace. He gets a J piece for the skim and then an L piece and a square. Just no ideal options here. He's having to compromise on every placement, throwing stuff in the center and the right, and now he transitions into level 28, and this could actually be trouble. The stack is too high for him to comfortably transition to 29. He needs to get this down in 10 lines or less. And meanwhile, Huff has nearly caught up in score. He's going to continue to build a pace lead because Cheese is going to be stuck burning, but Cheese does what he needs to do. It sucks to have to put the long bar over the top of the bottom hole because that's going to be 6 lines of burning on the top right there. It does get the double to open things up, but this is draining all of Cheese's remaining Tetrises on 28. He's only got 2 lines to go now before level 29, and Huff up 44,000, playing real efficient, 2 Tetris pace lead, and Cheese with a square to the right, 1 line to go. But he can take advantage and get an extra line to work with if he sets up a double to go into 29, and gets it. He's clean, Tetris ready, and 5 high right, that's gonna be no problem for him. Bangs down that Tetris. Huff's breathing hard. Feeling the pressure of the moment. So he's at 228 lines, he's got 1 Tetris left. As I discussed earlier, the smarter play here would be to go for the final Tetris. Just have 1 burn strats, because Huff still has a small lead. He just needs to build a buffer to force Cheese to line out a lot or try and Tetris. So Huff's gonna build up here, Cheese is gonna play it safe, not going for Tetrises, actually takes the lead back with that triple, and Cheese did not mean to put that long bar in column 7. Based on where he puts the L next, it looks like he meant to put that in here, but this is bad for Cheese now. This splits his board, it creates a very uncomfortable long bar dependency, and Cheese is gonna have to try and dig this out now, and actually is getting decent pieces to be able to do so. And Huff smartly uses that L block to get Tetris ready as soon as possible, not worrying about the hole. This gives him as much time as possible to wait for a long bar, and immediately gets rewarded, bang, takes back the lead. So now Cheese needs a Tetris, or some serious survival. And oof, Huff misses a 3 high right on 29 with the long bar, but he's got a couple things going against him. It might have been thrown off by the speed change or missed the first input during the line clear delay. Either way, that's going to give him another 7 high right chasm that's going to end things for him. Would have been great to get some extra points, but he did what he had to do. He maxed out with 1,019,000, looking over at Cheese now like, oh no, did I get enough? He does have the lead, but Cheese has gotten the board clean. He's dug all the way down. A Tetris would do it, but he could also just easily line it out. He's got no obstacles. It looks like that's what he's going to do. Into level 31, he's just going to take singles and doubles. This is what he's trained for. All these months of practicing with rolling, and then suddenly, it looks like he might have overshot that S piece. That creates a long bar dependency. Maybe he's just trying to build up an off-center Tetris, but it looks like that was a misdrop because he immediately misdrops the next 3 pieces like he's been thrown off rhythm. In NES Tetris, you're deciding where your next piece is going to go while you're placing your current piece. So if you don't put the current piece where you intend, that can mess up your brain and cause it to scramble, trying to figure out alternate placements to fill in this new board. So this is really bad now. Cheese only needs 13,000 points, and the well on the right is only 5 high. That's no problem for him, but the issue is a long bar to the right would clear nothing. The entire board is full of holes. So he's gonna have to skim lines a third of the way up on the board on level 31, which this would be fatal 99% of the time for almost any hyper tapper. They would basically need perfect pieces. So Cheese is gonna do his best. He plops a square in the center, and oh my gosh, he gets a square to the left. It sets up a skim to get the long bar over to again clear nothing, and dead drops a T in the center. Oh, he might have gotten out of rhythm if he was expecting a line clear delay. He throws a long bar flat to the right. He's probably panicking at this point, knowing he only needs a few thousand more points. This is a move that is setting up a last-ditch skim, but he's gonna need more than just 1 or 2 singles. He's got 7 lines of garbage now and has to burn on the left, and it's even harder to get stuff to the left than it is to the right. He's gonna manage to double flip a J over just in time, get a square, and get an L for the skim, and get the long bar over 6 right for another line. He needed that one bad. Probably in a bit more control now, but the board is still such a minefield. He's basically playing B-type 29-3 in an actual match. Gets the square for another burn, plops a Z and a long bar in the center. He's gonna need something for the left at some point and puts an S all the way over to the left. Gets a single into level 32. Oh man, this is gonna be so difficult. He's got a 7 high left hole. To get a long bar over there to the left requires 5 taps instead of just the 4 taps to the right. So that's a minimum 20 hertz move. Probably closer to 25. That's gonna be airtight even with rolling to make that. Cheese is is throwing stuff to the right, and then boom, he gets what he needs. The L piece is the MVP in this situation. Only requires 4 taps, much less risky to get over. Single, single, single with the T piece critical roll to the left. The game was on the line with that. Only 2,740 points to go. But he gets a square and is trying to stay clean. He sets up a long bar dependency in the center. He has no time to wait for that. Plugs it with an L, takes the burn, 1,420 points, the equivalent of 0.04 Tetrises on this level. But his board is, oh my gosh, it's begging for a T piece. Gotta pray to the heavens that he doesn't get squares. Slots in a Z, J to the left. This is a desperation L, trying to get anything. Gets a T piece he can use on the right. Another single. He is 100 points away. Less than 1/100th of a Tetris. He is still on 7 lines of garbage. The pieces are taking 1/6 of a second to fall. A single mistake here is the end. But he sees the perfect opportunity. Long bar to the left, J to the center right, and he's done it! Game 3 to Cheese! He almost certainly didn't know it in the moment. He's gonna try and keep going. He gets one more line, and there's the mistake. Misses the inputter, doesn't get it in time with the J, and that's fatal. He's gonna top out having earned the victory just in time. Instead of a webcam, Cheese is using a gif of Kingsman's reaction after winning a game in an extreme sports with the Berenstain Bears competition, and it couldn't be more fitting for the reaction of everyone. Even Huff, who just got swept, he can't do anything but laugh and smile at going out like that. He did amazing. Cheese was just on another level. So at this point, the hype in the chat for Cheese was at an all-time high. He had already come into the tournament expected to be the de facto winner, and had somehow managed to surpass expectations in the very first round. But the very next match, Cheese lost 3-1 to Zafanya Nenu. What happened? Well, he had some really bad misdrops. In game 1, he needed a bailout long bar high up on level 23 and undershot it, and just didn't get another long bar in time. In game 3, he undershot a critical long bar to the left on 18, and he almost got another long bar over, but not quite. In game 4, he kinda got screwed on this one. Cheese was in the middle of a 55-piece drought and misplaced a T while trying to wait it out and burn at the top, and that did him in. So there are 2 main reasons this happened. One, Cheese has almost exclusively been playing 29 stars when practicing and going for world records, so he's probably a little rusty on lower speeds. And 2, even for the best players, misdrops and bad piece sequences can happen to anyone. Cheese isn't going to hit 400,000 past level 29 every game, nor should he ever be expected to. The reason I say that is not to disparage his performance in any way. It was incredible. He's pretty much the only person in the world who could have pulled off that victory against Huff in that fashion. The reason I bring it up is I've seen some comments that are worried that rolling is kind of going to be like the end of competitive Tetris, where rollers are just going to play past 29 indefinitely every game. Maybe someday that'll happen, but for the foreseeable future, I think rolling makes things more exciting. In a typical match, if you know somebody's up like 200,000 points in the middle of the game, for a DAS player, if the other player keeps coasting, there's no coming back from that. For a Hyper Tapper, maybe they have a miracle shot at it post 29. Basically, it's a foregone conclusion who's going to win, and it's a formality playing it out. But for a roller, no matter what the lead is, they could come back. They won't do it every game, of course, not by a long shot, but they have a chance. And that means the stakes are always going to be high the entire game. And if 2 rollers go head to head, pushing each other to new heights, I think it's going to be great to watch. So in summary, rolling, it's not an automatic victory. Rollers earn every victory they get, same as everybody else. And Cheese definitely earned this game against Huff. I'll be looking forward to seeing what happens next in the scene. Thanks for watching.